And we're back with another edition of the Bar Gig Files.
3, 2, 1, fire!
All right, we're back. And we have a great guest for the Bar Gig Files. You've got legacy, road scars, modern relevance, and real-time, real-world barroom wisdom all rolled up into one human. Let's hear it for today's guest, Michael Cheselka. There he is.
Here I am.
How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I had a great week. It's good to be home, and I'm already looking forward to going out next time.
Yeah, Michael just is back from a 4-night run in Wisconsin, the great state of Wisconsin, which they love comedy in Wisconsin, man. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed, but they really, really dig comedy up there. I don't know if it's because of the cold weather, they just need to get out and have something to laugh about, or what say you?
Well, I think it's a couple different things. First of all, they're really nice venues. They seat enough people to make it a good crowd, and they've been doing it for long enough. You've been sending comics there 10, 14 years. So because it's a once-a-month show, and because we're talking about cities of 20, 25,000 people, to get a full house once a month is not too much to ask. And the other thing about the Midwest, the Wisconsins, the Minnesotas, the Ohios, the Michigans, if those people take the time to go out to see comedy, they're going out to have a good time. It's not like the East Coast, West Coast, big city where they just kind of sit there and go, okay, what are you going to do for me? Because, you know, they've seen it all. They're really, you took the time. When I told them I drove 7 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours to come do the show, they're registered. And they meet you more than halfway, and they're a lot of fun to feed off of.
Yeah.
Great crowds.
Yeah, yeah. And that was kind of fun that you were originally scheduled for the Wednesday,
Right.
and then the Saturday. Then we got the Thursday in there, and then they asked you, it included that last minute pop-up. They go, can you come back tomorrow night for our rib night?
Yeah, he asked me. I thought he was kidding because he said, how soon can you come back? And I made a joke. I said, well, I'm off tomorrow. I can come back tomorrow night. And he looked at me and said, you're kidding. Would you please do another show? It's like, all right, force me. Yeah, of course I'll do another show.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be nice. It turned out to be 5, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 solid nights of work. I drove home and extra
It
check.
worked out great.
So
that worked out great.
I was touched, man. And then word got around, and because it's a small town, everybody told their friends, and it was a good crowd the second night too.
Yeah,
Both
was
nights.
it a different crowd? Was there a difference in the sets that you did at all? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they saw different stuff, but yeah, I always do different stuff, and even if I don't, it's never in the same order, know.
Yeah. Michael and I, we first ran into each other at the World Series of Comedy in 2024, second place finisher at the main event. How is it different in competing in a festival versus walking into a Wisconsin bar where half the crowd didn't even know there might have been comedy that night?
Well, for me, the reason I ended up at the World Series of Comedy is because I'm from the generation that says, here's my headshot, here's my resume. And in this comedy world, everybody looked at me like, what are those two things? I I didn't know anything about EPK. I didn't know anything about social media. I didn't know anything about the fact that it was now my responsibility to fill the room, not the clubs. I mean, a lot changed in the time that I was off. So I went to Vegas to take the seminars. I went to Vegas because you get a college course in how to be a comedian in the week that you're there. I had no idea. I wasn't planning on competing. I said, I've never done that. So they stuck me in the wild card round. I registered at noon, and Joe goes, okay, your first show's at 4. And 4 hours later, I went down and I won that show. And then they go, okay, I guess you can come back. And then I won that show. And then I said, all right, you can come back. And then it was like, oh my God, this guy's winning. And this got to the finals, and anybody, you know, by the time you get to the finals, anybody on that list could hold the trophy and represent well. But I took second place, and it's just been great between the friends and the connections. I've been back, and I'll be there this year too.
Yeah, it's great having you a part of all that. You know, you mentioned that you came from the era where here's your headshot, here's your resume.
That's it.
Yeah, and you put it all in a folder.
Right.
And send it. And that was it.
That was it. Or you sent one of those 8-track tapes that nobody ever read. That nobody ever looked at.
No.
And that was one of the first things that had an impact on the club business, because when cable came out and 3 competing networks all wanted to be the comedy channel, the Comedy Store, Comedy Central, and Comedy Channel, they all competed, and they realized, oh my God, 24/7 is a lot of material. That's a lot of programming to fill. So they just started sending off those 8-track tapes, and they were playing those. In the middle of the night, they just play one and then play another and then play another. And everybody sitting at home in bed looked at each other and said, honey, this sucks. I'm not going to a club. I'm not spending $20 to go see. So then that's when everybody started papering the house. You got in for free, but you had to buy 2 drinks.
Sure.
And the new wave is like the people that, I don't know what it is, but this now has become the profession where people think they can go on stage 5 times and call themselves a pro.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're all territorial. We used to sit around behind the Comedy Store in a circle and critique each other and kibitz each other and give each other taglines and tell stories from the road on how to act on the road, how to settle a show and all that kind of stuff. But now, you don't have to tell anybody anything, because their 5 friends fist bump them when they come off stage, and it takes away the desire to get better. So the cream rises to the top, but I've never seen, I'll be honest with you, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about in the tour or any of that stuff, but you go to some other cities and there's 150 people that call themselves comedians in every little town you go to, and 148 of them just need therapy.
Yeah, for sure. It's
a
whole other thing.
We're descendants of the old Corchesters.
Yeah.
You put a bell on your nose and paint your face, you can walk up to the king, tell him he's full of it, and not get killed. And that's a responsibility, and that's something that you need to. I mean, I think the best comics are born, not made. And if you listen to your head and your heart and your inner voice comes out, and you can make everybody relate to it, because everybody feels the same thing, but everybody's biggest fear is public speaking. So you put that dynamic together, and what you're doing is sharing with people, not just confessing that you've got symptoms.
You know, you make a good point too, that today's comedians, a lot of them have really good presence on social media, like this, like what we're doing right now. But you came up as one of the original comedy outlaws,
right?
Working with Sam Kinison. And what did that experience teach you about commanding a room that
you know what?
still applies today?
people always used to walk up to Sam, and not just comics. We'd be on tour, and just people would come up to him and go, "Oh my God, how do you get to be famous?" And Sam always looked at them and said, "Don't worry about being famous. Worry about being good."
Yeah.
Famous comes, you can't control that. You can't decide to go be famous. Or at least you couldn't before, things went viral. But you couldn't do it. You had to just be good. And here's the best piece of advice I ever got for building. And if there's comics listening to this too, I'll share it with them. Sam used to tell any comic, you have your closing bit. You know the one joke you can tell and say, "Thank you, that's all my time," and walk off stage with some applause. Have the guts to open with it.
Yeah.
And then you got to write another closing joke.
Yeah.
And if you do that, open with that. And you do that 60 times, you got an hour. Now you're a headliner.
Yeah, that's a good writing exercise. Open with your closer and then see if you can follow yourself.
Right.
For another 20 minutes.
Everybody says it last because you want to leave them feeling good about you. But if you open with it, you open with them feeling good about you. And
sure. Yeah, don't slow pace it. Just come out gangbusters. Yeah. Open with your closer. Get them in the palm of your hands loving you. And then you could probably coast on attitude for the next 20 minutes.
You're absolutely right, because I'll tell you something. For me, and I said thank you for this before you even said, "Hey, I'm doing a show. You want to be interviewed?" I told you, doing an hour plus show 4 days, 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world, because I have 7, 8, 9, 10 different things I can open my show with and go play with the audience depending on what the audience is like. You can only do that if you work hard at it and you just have the confidence to be honest with the crowd.
Yeah, and you can go in any direction you like then.
Exactly.
You can take them you're in total command of the room. Have you ever seen that movie Kill Bill with Uma Thurman plays the samurai kung fu master? There's a scene in that where she's buried alive and she remembers back to her training days. And the kung fu master is teaching her at that time to chop through this giant piece of wood. And he's like, "Can you do that?" And, he punches his fist through it and the whole thing explodes. And she's like, "Well, I can, but not this close up." And he grabs her hand and twists it behind her back. And she's like, "Ah!" She's screaming. He's like, "I could break your arm right off your body if I wanted to right now." What are you going to do? Are you just going to quit and die? Or is this what you're going to do when your opponent is that close? Are you going to, when you're faced with a challenge, you're just going to give up? Or you're going to put your fist through the fucking thing? And that's what I think about stand-up sometimes. It's like, what are you going to do when you walk into this challenge? It's not always going to be perfect, polished production and amazing environment like a comedy club. I think probably 95% of the gigs that comedians do are going to be completely imperfect in a lot of ways and present themselves with their challenges. You're going to get a heckler. You're going to get a microphone that breaks, whatever the case may be. What are you going to do? You're just going to curl up and give up and die and be like, "Oh, well, it wasn't set up to do comedy right." Or are you going to put your fist through that motherfucker?
Thank you. One night, that's how far back I go. Rumors spread through LA that Richard Pryor was going to make an appearance at the Comedy Store that night. And this is when he was coming back from setting himself on fire. So the crowd was dressed. The women had gowns and hats and gloves and heels. The men all had sport coat jackets and stuff, and they were dressed. Paul Mooney was on stage, and we get word that Richard's not showing. So I'm next in line, because if you were a Comedy Store doorman, the comic didn't show up, one of the doormen went up and took the time.
Yeah.
And Paul Mooney comes off stage, looks at me and says, "Good luck, but don't you dare let them know you're afraid." So you learn, you make it through that. And so, they're people, it's an audience, it's a show, but anybody who thinks they're going to go up and with a memorized, tell 14 jokes in a row and go thank you and be famous. I tell young comics starting up that tell me, well, what do I have to do to this set so I can get really good? And I tell them, first thing you got to remember is that if you do get your HBO special, none of that shit's going to be in it.
Sure.
That's what you discovered first. Take it somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You got to take the audience, any kind of art. I don't care if it's a painting. I don't care if it's dance. I don't care if it's music. But art is supposed to move people off ground zero. So you're the tour bus conductor. You're the driver. You got to take the audience somewhere. That's up to you.
Yeah. When you walk into a bar gig, and it's going to be, you can tell in the first 30 seconds of getting there, this is not at all set up to be conducive for a comedy night. Do you have, based on your experience, have developed like a mental checklist of now how to proceed in order to keep this from turning into that scene in the Blues Brothers where they're throwing the bottles and there's got to be chicken wire?
Actually, the key is to have all kinds of different arrows in your quiver, and you just pull the right one out and shoot it. Because what I've done sometimes is walk off the stage, project the room, go from table to table. If the audience won't meet you, I'll come off the stage and I'll go talk to the audience.
Oh, wow.
And at first I'll start with a conversation. I'll ask questions. I'll do a little crowd work. And then I'll say, okay, now can we go do a show? And go right back up on stage.
Yeah.
Or I've taken a seat at a table that's empty in the middle of everybody and turned it into a little circle where we
Oh, there you go.
But the thing about it is you got to create, you got to be in the moment. You got to be there. There isn't something that automatically is going to work. Well, if the crowd sucks, I'm going to do this. But what you do, and you know what I'm talking about, you do the same thing. You assess the situation, like you said, but then you do whatever you have to do to make it work.
Sure.
You know, and the thing is, you just got to want to do it. You want to entertain them more than anything else, and whatever it takes to get there. It's like getting the pretty girl in the bar to dance with you. You know, if she says no the first time, find a different way.
Well, sure.
Pay somebody to ask her if you'll go dance and point to you, and then just whatever it takes to make it happen, do it.
Oh, there you have it, everybody. Listen to this. It's Michael Cheselka giving us some comedy advice and pickup advice. So,
yeah, okay. I spent a lot of money paying. But that's just me.
You know, I had such a blast working with you. I mean, what was it really work? We were doing those midnight shows at the World Series of Comedy main event last September, and I was scheduled to go last at every one of those shows, and then you were jumping on as sort of a surprise guest performer, and you went right before me. And I kept saying to you, are you going to set the piano on fire again tonight? Because it just reminded me of the time. That, again, I do a lot of movie analogies.
Right.
But following you just reminded me of that scene and where Dennis Quaid plays Jerry Lee Lewis, and he sets the piano on fire. And then he goes to Chuck Berry. Follow that. And that's what it's like following Michael Cheselka. He sets the piano on fire. There you go. So, hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get you back out there for more shows on the Pub and Grub comedy tour. I should have known this before we even started talking, and then that way I could pump it up. But I'm not sure if we've got you on the schedule.
I'm in Michigan for you.
Yes.
Yep.
We got Michael coming up in Michigan, in Vicksburg, Michigan.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. At the Main Street Pub. And you can check out when that's going to be And get tickets for that at barcomictix.com.
I look forward to it. I work anywhere for you guys. It's a great tour.
Thank you, Michael.
I'm telling anybody who needs something to do, go to the big list of shows, find one, and go see it.
barcomictix.com. And let's have a round of applause for Michael Cheselka.
Thanks, JerDog.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.